Well, I think we're ready. We want to get started here with our presentations. We have three fine speakers that are going to talk to us today about intern and co-op opportunities in the energy space. So you can give me my first speaker's bio. Wait, first, before we do that, we have to say thank you to our sponsors. These are the folks that help make us able to do all the stuff we do, as well as help fund our scholarship program. I know there are some people on this call who are very fond of our scholarship program. So go sponsors. Great. Okay. Yes, these are, if anybody is interested in becoming a sponsor, the information is available on our website to do that. And it's very worthwhile. Okay. Oh, one more. Energy Matters to You podcast. Another great way to get some entertainment while you're doing your workout at the gym. And I know this from experience because there is nothing worse than listening to the same playlist over and over and over when you're doing your weight machines. But if you throw on Energy Matters to You, you might learn something pretty exciting about something in the energy space that you wouldn't know if you didn't listen to one of these podcasts. And I can tell you that Ron Galuli and his partner there, whose name is escaping me at the moment, Leo, I'm sorry. Yeah, Leo, they do an amazing job. They keep it flowing and they ask great questions. And I love listening to them. So AEE East Energy Conference and Expo will be at the Heinz Convention Center on June 7th and 8th. Complimentary registration for students. This is a really important big deal because this event is 2 days of conferences. And some of the folks that are going to be speaking here are very highly seasoned professionals, and you could get quite a bit out of it. So I highly recommend, if you are a student, registering for these events. Rich, do you know, I know Rich, you're on the call. Do you know if there is any remote possibility? Is there a virtual potential for the AEE East, or do you have to be there in person?
I think you have to be there in person. It's not a Zoom type thing like during the COVID.
Yeah.
So you should go there. But the key thing is if you can get in there for free for the students. It's great. They got exhibits on energy efficiency stuff as well as the presentations and stuff. I'll be there early teaching a energy procurement certification course, but later in the week they'll have the sessions and presentations, and they're all great to attend. And it's just, if energy is your thing and you're in the New England area, this is something you don't want to miss, and especially if it's being subsidized for your attendance. It's worth asking the boss to go, or if you're the boss, it's worth going.
Yeah, for sure. I will be speaking there, as well as some of our speakers today. I know Erica Anderson will be speaking there. I don't know if Sean's speaking. Sean, are you speaking?
Nope.
No. Okay. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. All right. What you got another slide there, Derek, that you wanted me to, I know you wanted me to talk about the golf tournament, I think. There we are. So AEE's golf tournament will be Tuesday, June 20th, 9 a.m. shotgun start. You can just go to our website if you want to register. I think you can register as a foursome, but I think you can also register as just a single player and have them match you up if you want to do that. And if you don't play golf, but you still want to go to the event, I think there's a way for you to do that and just attend like the dinner and networking hour. Anyway, okay, back to the matters at hand. Thank you, Derek. Oh, perfect. So our first speaker is Erica Anderson. She grew up taking the T through the greater Boston area, and she does pretty much as much public transportation and biking and walking around the city now as she can. And I've been working with Erica for over a year now, and we have had a lot of fun in the energy space. And she is really quite the master at working with our interns and getting interns to work at the T. And, we're limited resources, and having our interns has been instrumental in us getting things done. I can tell you that firsthand. So I'm going to hand it over to Erica to tell us a little bit about the intern program at the MBTA. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. So you can go to the next slide. So just a quick overview. I'll go through the recruitment process. My original purpose and goal for this, some resources I used while having an intern, although I still currently have one, and things they worked on in evaluation, as well as some recommendations for anyone who is looking to get an intern or even just start up an internship program. Yep, next slide. So at the T, it's kind of standardized. You just develop a job posting, and oftentimes we'll take this from, other places that have similar positions, like at Mass CEC and whatnot. And then we usually have 1 or 2 interviews, a reference check, and a medical screening, because hopefully the interns will be able to get trained to go into some of our facilities. And then there is MBTA specific onboarding. So we have a government agency. So there's diversity, safety, and conflict of interest training. They basically receive most of the same training that full-time employees get. Next slide. So then usually I can see that my slides all say subtitle, so please ignore that. They have no subtitles. But we post to the MBTA website and then various schools. I especially try to get this posted on local community colleges and UMass websites. And this is, combined with trying to put an emphasis on anti-racist and fair hiring practices, and trying to make it easier for and have more outreach for BIPOC and other minorities. And also students who haven't previously had professional or industry technical related work experience. And over here, you can see myself, I think Sean, and Chase, who's talking after me. Next slide. So my original reasoning for the internship program was there are so many projects at the T. We have 170 something facilities, second largest landowner in the state and the largest electricity user. And so in doing these energy conservation projects, it was basically me, Sean a little bit. And I thought, what better way than to bring on interns, because it is a great opportunity for them and also faster to hire interns. Then also, hopefully there's enough training that they can continue work after and maybe hopefully join the T. And it's always a paid opportunity. I want to emphasize that as well. And students get to experience working for the government, working in engineering, planning experience. There's some hands-on. So it's kind of well-rounded, I think. And having interns forces us to standardize how we do work, and be better at organizing, which is something very important, especially at the T, to track everything and have it all written down. And that way we can have, it's easier for when there's turnover between interns. Not to mention, while we get to teach them, interns are fresh in school. They're learning some things that I wasn't taught in school. And so it's a really nice exchange of knowledge. And I think that's something to remember when having interns, that they can also teach us stuff. Next slide. So we have Chase again, and our other intern, Trisha. The goals for the internship program is that by the end of it, they'll have training and knowledge of the Mass Energy Code, ASHRAE and IECC, the Mass Save Incentive Program, and be able to go in and do some energy auditing of smaller facilities and maybe try benchmarking. And then we also have them trained for MBTA safety and right of way, so the ability to access the tracks. And then also I hope that by the end they can coordinate site visits and schedule them themselves with vendors after doing energy audits. This also requires a lot of interdepartmental coordination and involves keeping track of many, many contacts. And then finally, after that, trying to see if we can get any of these ECMs implemented, which also involves managing external vendors. And so we take this through step by step, and then hopefully by the end of the internship program, they can do it all with just without that much oversight, at least for some minor project locations. Next slide. Some useful resources I have found, especially at the beginning, is there are a lot of websites and training videos that are available. So if the interns have finished what I wanted them to, and I can't take them through the next piece of work that they need to do because I'm busy, there's so many things that I can send them to watch and learn on their own. Just here's a couple examples of resources I use: the Mass Clean Energy Center, Green Energy Consumers Alliance, CEM training, Mass Save. They all have a lot of videos and information that will help the interns to learn everything that I need them to do. Next slide. So the types of projects that we usually have them working on is a little bit of everything. Usually we're either internal consultants at the T or we scope out our own projects. So I like to have them try and do both. And that also means a lot of coordination with the utilities and installers, whether if we are consulting on another project manager's project or have started our own. And then on top of that, have them looking at industry policy and tech research, and then hopefully present it back to our department. Then apart from the energy side of things, just trying to get them used to working in a professional setting and getting to know the T better and figuring out how that's different from school. Next slide. So by the end of the internship, we have mostly qualitative evaluation, but there's a lot of ways to kind of keep track of how they're doing. So interns, I'll often have them try and fill out incentive applications with just me checking, or even sometimes, so busy that the person who's reading it over is the utilities. And I find that that's a pretty easy and standard way to kind of see how much they're actually absorbing. Then we review design documents internal on MBTA projects. And I like to see if they can go through and identify energy conservation measures, and then I'll go through after and help them with any that they missed. I also like to have them practice presenting multiple times professionally within our department, also to other departments at the T, and see if we can get in one or two external as well. And then lastly, see how well they coordinate site visits on their own. Next slide. So some recommendations and challenges. Challenges, it's obviously a very short time, as I'm sure most people know this with interns, to onboard and help adjust to how they learn and how you're teaching. Also at the T, it's everyone needs to be very flexible. Things can change in an instant. And so I think in Chase's interview, one of the things I said was, as long as you're good completely changing our schedule day of, it's going to be great. And along with that, it's adapting to how the T works and working within admin and operations. So overall, there is quite a steep learning curve and a ton of acronyms. So my recommendations for that is, for the short onboard time, I like to have live working documents for the interns to update, to leave notes, to explain things to future employees, but also so that it's interns writing information to future interns. Then planning feedback meetings, trying to make them, make it so it's comfortable so that they can help design the internship program. And then also making it flexible based on their interests. So not always the same thing every time. Once they've had a little tried a little bit of everything, saying, oh, what would you like to focus on, or is there anything new you'd like to learn? Always encourage asking questions. There's no such thing as a dumb question, because in an internship, that's when you should be asking as many questions as you can. And lastly, trying to encourage them to explore and meet with other people internally. So they are here on an internship, they're doing work for me, but also making sure that they get to get a taste of everything and practice networking. So next slide. Oh yes, okay. That is the end of my presentation. I have a little Charlie popping out there to say thank you and ask if anyone has any questions.
Excellent.
Also feel free to type them in.
Yes, I was supposed to tell everyone that if you had questions during the presentations, you should put them in the chat. But then afterwards, if you have additional questions, you can raise your hand and we'll call on you. So I think I will start the questions because I do have one. When you did this, Erica, when you first went out looking for an intern, how many applicants did you get?
I don't remember. Oh, the first time I did it. So when I first started at the T, probably only a couple for the first round. And so it was definitely making sure word got out.
Was that a challenge?
Yeah, definitely. And that's why the second time I said, okay, we should make sure we post on many university websites, making sure, asking people how interns apply nowadays. I know at a previous place I worked, they mostly posted on Craigslist, and I remember telling them that's not how people are applying anymore. So we need to, if we want
Change.
the best applicants, we need to adjust.
Yeah. And did you think the T was well set up for having interns come to work for them?
I would like to think so. Chase might have something different to say, but I think overall, there's a pretty standard process. And then once you kind of make your way into the T, sometimes things can be difficult to figure out.
Hey, any other questions?
Rich has a question.
Rich.
Quite impressive. I use that emoji. See, I'm learning how to use this thing, right? The old guy. Question for Erica. The internship, how does the scheduling go? I went to Northeast and we did co-op type stuff, so it was quarter. When you go out to these schools, is it the intern just for the summertime? Is it during when they're at college? How does that play out, and how do you go from one intern to the next? How does that work?
I usually try, and if you can start with the summer, having an intern through the summer, and so that way they get a lot of training and see if that they can continue through the year to part-time. I find that really helpful, and seeing if you can, the longer you can keep one on, the easier it is. What I usually do is try, and I had one start in January before and asked her if she could start maybe even just like 1 or 2 days before classes started so we could get some information out there. But in terms of scheduling time also for them to work, I found it easiest to just have them update their work calendar for times that they were in classes, or if they were on a sports team or had a job, just to say times specifically when they're available. So when they could answer emails or answer a phone call, and then time specific to when they will actually be on the computer working if they're working virtually.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Oh, Jackson has a question. Go for it.
Yeah, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, new headset. So have you developed any university partnerships or anything to kind of create feeders for the T, or is that
the team might have some overall in the environmental department. I don't think so, but like I said, I've tried to ask them every time that I have a job posting or other people in our department to specifically try and post to community colleges or UMass or state schools.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think it might just be, there might just be a preference for people who attend university along an MBTA route
Right.
because they're more likely to apply. Oh, yes, that was an important part because they all get a free T pass when they work for the T. So,
Oh, I see. Okay.
mhm.
Cool. Thanks.
Awesome. Other questions? Okay. Thank you, Erica. That was great.
Thank you.
Super job. Okay. We are going to hear from a real live intern from the T, and that would be Chase Thomas, who is graduating soon in chemical engineering from Brown University. He is a big time learner guy, loves to learn. I know, I've been working with him and I just shovel information at him and he just keeps learning. So we're going to hear from Chase, and Chase, take it away.
Hey everyone, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
I'm Chase. I'm Erica's intern, so you're going to see a lot of the same pictures in my presentation as you saw in Erica's presentation. But and I know my hair is a little bit longer than my headshot, but I'm happy to be here. Yeah, so I'm an intern at the T. This picture is maybe from the coolest site visit I think we went on that I'll get into later. But next slide, please, Derek. Yeah, so I just want to start off with a quick disclaimer, just so I can speak freely that these are my opinions, not the T's. Next slide, please. Yeah, so just as an outline of what I'm going to be presenting today, I'll start off with who I am, just about me and what my internship search looked like when I was looking for an internship at the T, or I wasn't looking for it at the T, but what led to me picking the T, and then an overview of what I actually do. And I kind of want to, as Erica said, onboarding and learning can be a long and kind of hard process. So I kind of want to take it through a linear progression of how I started to take on more responsibility and learn new things and what worked for me, what didn't. And then I'll wrap it up with what I took away from my internship, things that were most important to me, and then what I think you can take away as primarily people who are looking for interns, based on, and also for other interns too. So yeah, next slide, please. So as an introduction, who am I? Next slide, please. I'm currently a student intern at the MBTA. I've been working here for a little over a year now. Probably recognize this picture. This is me, Sean, Erica, two of the other interns, Trisha and Chua, and our sustainability resiliency, Hannah is in the middle there. So I started in April of last year. I was still in classes, and then I worked over the summer full-time, and then I liked it so much I stayed on for the fall semester, worked part-time around 10 hours a week, and then full-time again, winter break. And now I'm back to 15 hours a week. I'm in my senior year currently. I'm studying chemical engineering at Brown. I have a focus on renewable energy and power systems, and I'll talk a little bit about how this internship kind of led to me picking that focus. I'm really passionate about transit, sustainability, and building equitable infrastructure. And I had a really fantastic internship experience that I'm excited to share with you. So I began my search midway into my junior year, maybe a little bit later than some of my other engineering friends, around December, January, looking for something over the summer. People get started real early, but I was looking for something that was impactful and had a sense of service to my community. It's really rewarding to work for something that you believe in. And so I was looking for something where I could be doing the work and believing in the work that I did. I was looking for something hands-on, something kind of had a lot of academic experience. I both in school and I do a lot of teaching, tutoring and teaching. And so I was looking for something completely different, kind of to expand my perspective. I was looking for something that would be challenging. I've kind of always known that I wanted to do something energy related. So that's what I was looking for, something in the energy industry. But at this point, I didn't really know what that meant. I didn't know what the energy industry really looked like. So I kind of just applied for everything. There were a lot of different types of things that I applied for. I applied to a bunch of engineering consulting jobs. I actually got offered a job in January doing project management for a solar firm. I ended up turning that down because it was going to require me to work 15 hours a week during the semester. Little did I know I'd be doing that anyway. But when I saw the MBTA posting, I saw it on a job posting website. Can't remember which one off the top of my head, but I immediately knew. I grew up taking the T. I absolutely love the MBTA. And for it to be energy specific and also at the MBTA, I just thought it was so cool. And I immediately knew that if I got offered this internship, I was going to take it. It was everything I was looking for. So that's a little bit about why I picked the internship I did. Next slide, please. So a little bit about what that ended up looking like. So what do I actually do as an intern? So the very first projects that I worked on were, as Erica mentioned, utility incentives. Typically, these projects that I started working on were putting together project documentation for projects that had already happened. I got trained on, for example, the Eversource GBB worksheet, kind of figuring out what utility incentives were there and how to apply for them, how to work with people. It was a really good introduction. It was very formulaic, kind of have some go this, this, and this when you're looking at these applications, but it was complicated, especially for some of the custom applications we were looking at. And it's a really low stakes introduction to energy projects because you're not pushing it yourself. You're kind of doing a retrospective and get to dissect what happened in this energy project. So I learned the different equipment types, what the kind of typical efficiencies, what typical power draws, what give some context for these numbers that we talk about. What are some typical funding sources, especially at the T, whether it's coming from somewhere internal, whether it's coming from the utility, just how are projects funded. I learned how to read schematics and cut sheets from this. I learned about the relevant legislature for getting projects through. And then also it was an introduction to site visits and energy detective work because sometimes the documentation just isn't there and you have to go out and see it for yourself. Next slide, please. It was really useful to be able to dive into the details of how the project was implemented. It was almost like reverse engineering an energy project, which I thought was really cool and a really good introduction to what does it mean to do an energy project. This picture here, the first one I ever worked on was the Harvard busway tunnel conversion to LED. Took a very, very long time because there's confusion about the lights, and there were about 8 different versions of the cut sheets and of the drawings, but it eventually got through. It's still, I think, the highest incentive that I personally have ever applied for. And then, so overall, from utility incentives, I learned really what is an energy project and how are they done. I got to reverse engineer and do that. Next slide, please. Moving on from that, I'd say the next major thing that Erica started to have me do was working on projects that were currently in development, so in design. So projects that were already completed and now they're currently being designed. We have internal project development group, PDG at the T, where I got to interpret drawings with Erica, provide comments, and we'd both take a look at a set of drawings and come up with some energy conservation measures we could suggest and then sit down and compare them, which I thought was really helpful. It was a good practice doing some engineering calculations, especially for some of the mechanical equipment. Erica, just as practice, had me go through and calculate some of the efficiencies and some of the other key parameters of some of the listed equipment on some spreadsheets just to get a sense of those numbers. I think that's something I'll say a lot. Getting a sense of the numbers is really important. It was really important to me. I thought that this gave me a pretty clear view of what projects looked like before and then after. And And then what does the process look like for getting infrastructure projects through, right? And then the last thing is getting to know people and developing organizational skills, being able to keep track of a bunch of different projects and getting to know who do I talk to on each project, who's going to listen and be receptive, and who's going to help push energy conservation issues. Next slide, please. Yeah, and then another big thing I'd say, you've probably seen most of these pictures. Kathy's in the one on the right, actually. But site visits are really, really important. I can tell you right off the bat where all of these were. And there's not a lot of identifying information in these pictures. And that's really just because site visits are so memorable. They're a really good teaching tool, and they were a fantastic teaching tool for me. It's really great to be able to see equipment in use, to see and walk through facilities and figure out, okay, we can look at these graphs of all this energy, but where's it actually going? Who's this affecting? Being able to talk to the facilities people gives some motivation for why are we doing these projects. Next slide, please. Yeah, and so it was fun, and it also is a great opportunity to get acquainted with some of the equipment that we have in our system. I have a much better sense of what both MBTA equipment looks like. A lot of our facilities are basically industrial facilities. So what do industrial facilities look like, and what do their HVAC systems look like? Especially what do wicked old HVAC systems look like? But yeah, next slide, please. So another thing that I think was really important as projects that I worked on were some data analysis projects. It's kind of, once you've done the site visits, once you've looked at the specifics of a project, it's useful to be able to step back and take a very broad view of the way energy is used around the organization. And understand and track different performance indicators. For example, on the left here, I've got power factor and load factor plotted for a bunch of our facilities, which was pretty involved project because all of that stuff was only available in PDF format. So trying to get it out of the PDFs into a spreadsheet, but it built a lot of technical skills, and it also really gave me an intuition for what is power factor, what is load factor, and Rich actually helped out with that as well. Yeah, and so a lot of data analytics projects are really good for stepping back and taking a broad view of what does energy use look like. And it motivates what projects do we prioritize and why. You can see down in the bottom, I have some load, I've removed all the names, but some load profiles for some different MBTA facilities, and analyzing them for the capacity to be used to have a demand response pilot program. It's just, data is a really good way of understanding at a high level what energy projects are all about. Next slide, please. Okay, and then moving on from there, all of the projects so far were led by other teams at the T. And so this is just energy team specific projects, ones that as a team, we kind of identified, started, and worked through. It's good for learning how to identify problems, how to bring projects up from the start and figure out which projects to actually do, and then work towards solutions. It's good for figuring out how to manage projects, work with vendors. Really enjoyed getting how to learn how to do all of that alongside Erica. Erica was a great mentor and all of that. And then also how to finish projects, which is not as easy as it sounds. And so, as always, there were incentive applications, but there were a lot of larger projects. And so it was really cool to be able to develop a relationship with people who work at these facilities and kind of trying to push the idea that these energy projects are also quality of life projects for the people that work at these facilities, which I thought was a really rewarding part of the internship. And so this is about the point where I started to take more ownership and responsibility in the management of these projects. Next slide, please. Yeah, and so that was an overview of basically how projects, energy conservation projects kind of built up for me, but there was a lot of other stuff that I did and really enjoyed getting to do at the MBTA. We have an internal sustainability committee, which I think Erica might have showed this picture too, but we went out, we organized an event to go clean up some of our MBTA stations, pick up trash. I thought that was fantastic. The sustainability committee's done a lot. So just getting to meet people from across the organization and work towards making a greener and better tea was really rewarding. Next slide, please. And then something I particularly appreciated that Erica and Kathy too facilitated was, and Erica mentioned this briefly, just the opportunity to do a lot of information sharing, a lot of information exchange between the interns and between Kathy was part of this, between Erica and Sean and all of our team. It was just really cool to feel like being a part of a team. We did lunch and learns typically, where one person would kind of take the opportunity to present on a certain topic. So for example, I presented on how to do an energy audit, did a bunch of research for that. Trisha presented on climate resiliency at the MBTA, which was a fantastic presentation. And Kathy presented on energy prices in the markets and sort of the economic side of things, helping us to understand, which was super useful. Erica also did a bunch of presentations for Trisha and I, which was awesome. Next slide, please. Yeah, so in retrospect, what did I take away from all of that? I know that was a lot of information. So these are some conclusions that I had taking away. Next slide. So I knew I wanted to do work in the energy fields, and I knew I wanted to work in the public sector, but I didn't really know what either of those things really meant until I did both of them over the past year. So I was exposed to energy from a lot of different perspectives. The T owns their own distribution network, as well as some generation in the South Boston power plant. So I was exposed to energy from the perspective of generation, distribution, end uses, so HVAC systems and industrial equipment, and then also transit specific stuff, equipment you don't see in many other places, like rectifying transformers. Through all of that, I discovered a love of power engineering and completely reframed my educational goals. I didn't even really know that was an option. We don't have a power electronics focused class. And so I was able to take the initiative to work with a professor to kind of direct self-study into power electronics, which I wouldn't have even known to do if I hadn't worked this internship. So I'm really grateful for that. Next slide, please. Yeah, and so a key idea for me now, after learning everything I did at my internship, is proximity. That as an engineer, as someone working in the public sector, we're trying to solve problems, right? All engineers are trying to solve problems. And I think a key part of that is being close to the problems that you're trying to solve, getting proximate with the problems that you're trying to solve. And so I think any internship, that's a key idea, is how to get close to these problems that we as engineers want to solve. So some ways that happened for me were site visits and getting to talk to some amazing people from across the MBTA, building relationships with those people, and then learning how an organization actually works, in particular a public sector organization, and then how are infrastructure projects actually built? What does that look like? Next slide, please. Yeah, and above all, I just really appreciated the opportunity to make a difference and to work alongside building a better tea, learning from some of the most hardworking, capable, and kind people I've ever met. And then in conclusion, what do I think you can take away? So Erica said the energy field is a wide field. It has a lot of obscure acronyms, a lot of best practices and other idiosyncrasies not well known outside of the industry. So onboarding is really important. I think I'm really grateful for the fact that there was kind of a linear progression of responsibilities, a clear direction for learning for me, but also the opportunity to kind of work on projects within that I was particularly passionate about. And so Power Factor was one of those. I also, me personally, so on the left, I think is general, and on the right is me personally. I really appreciated the opportunity to get hands-on experience. I loved the information sharing, the trainings, and the opportunity to participate as a team. I really appreciate the way that my boss, Erica, and my other bosses, I guess, Kathy and Sean, were just inclusive and always kind, and really reflected the values of the organization. And then I think, at least for a lot of students, I know a big piece of what I was looking for in work is working for an organization that reflects my own values. And so figuring out some angle to how to emphasize that in job postings, how to emphasize that in when you're looking for interns, I think is probably helpful. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. If you have any questions, yeah.
Wow. That was really good, Chase. I should point out that you also did a controls presentation. I don't know if you forgot to mention that, but I mean,
Yeah.
that was really a heavy lift too, you know, so that was great. I have questions, but I can defer if others do first, or I'll just jump in. How did you find the opportunity at the T?
That's a good question, and I wish I had a better story. I kind of just went onto a job posting website, not even the like T specific one, and just it was recommended to me because I'd applied to similar jobs, and I
Okay.
saw it and just kind of knew that it was something I was interested in.
Yeah. And then my next question is, would you, when you get a job, which I'm sure will be very soon, would you consider hiring and training an intern?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a great experience, great way to like give back and share information too. And if I could do half as good a job as Erica, I'd be happy.
Oh, there you go. This is a big plug. Oh, Rich has a question. Go ahead, Rich.
Chase, great presentation.
Thanks.
Quick question for you. One of the things when I had the opportunity many years ago to work at the T, you know, my eyes were like all of a sudden wide open, right? I couldn't believe what a big, I'll call it company system and how it was, because I too lived in Boston and I would take the bus or the subway. So I kind of knew my little route and stuff. But what's your biggest, I guess, takeaway or surprise? And this is going to be a really more an MBTA question than an intern question. But as an intern, what was the biggest thing you were like, aha moment, like, wow, this place is a lot crazier or bigger or insane than I thought it was? What was your big first, like, when you started working the internship, like, I can't believe it was the size of it, the opportunities. What was the big thing that you perhaps didn't know before you went there and afterwards, now you do know?
That's a great question. So I will say, if you know where the Boston Engine Terminal is, the commuter rail maintenance facility, that was my very first site visit. So that place is massive. Absolutely never been in a building that large. It's huge. So trying to wrap my head around that scale, I'd say was probably the first time I realized how big of an operation the T was. Because like you said, I had my route, and I mean, I took the commuter rail. I've been taking the commuter rail to get in a couple times a week during the semester. So I have my route, but the BET was the first time I realized how big of an operation it was. And then I guess in general, the amount and the number of maintenance facilities, a lot of maintenance facilities. Everett was the next one that really blew my mind, because I didn't realize we were doing so much of that at the T, right? Because a lot of times we talk about contracting out, but there's a lot of stuff that's getting done at the T at Everett, which that was the other piece of it. It continues to blow my mind. Erica and I were doing a walkthrough the other day at Everett, literally a couple of days ago, and discovered that there's an entire section of the building that we did not know existed. It's not on any of the plans. So I don't know if that
Thank you very
answers your
much.
question. Yeah,
No, that was great. I was just imagining that a lot of people don't understand the complexities, you know, when you
it's huge.
and all the people that work there. It's huge.
Right.
Thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions? Jackson?
Chase, what advice would you give like a new intern who's coming to the T, who's never worked for a government or semi-government agency?
That's a very good question. I'd say my best advice would be get to know people. It's definitely a lot of interpersonal, if you want to, specifically for energy, if you want to be included in projects that are being developed, you kind of just have to know the project manager, because there's no other way really to get included or know things are happening. It's definitely a lot of interpersonal interaction and getting to know people and working with people. So yeah, just diving right in. Part of that, I guess, would be, if possible, be in person as much as possible. It's just really valuable. I didn't really start to get a sense of how projects get done and what, I didn't get a sense of it until I started working every day in person over the summer. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, awesome.
Excellent. Okay, I think we're ready to move. Before we move on from the T, I do need to say that next week the T will be posting 3 internships. So if you know anybody who's looking for an internship opportunity, now's your time to reach out. And I'm sure that if you reached out to Erica, she could point you in the right direction, and would be happy to do so. So thank you very much to our team members. That was great. We're going to do a little swivel to a different organization now and talk to Matt Miller, who is a co-op student at the University of Cincinnati. UC is a 5-year co-op engineering program, and you are required to complete, I think it's 4 co-op semesters in order to graduate with a degree in engineering from UC. Five co-op semesters. I'm being corrected. So, I mean, that's even when COVID hit and nobody was hiring co-op students. The university said, well, too bad, because if you don't find 5, you're not getting a degree from us. So it was really stressful. But these students are amazing, and I can't wait to hear from Matt. He is doing his co-op at the Commonwealth Fusion Systems. And I probably don't have to tell you what Commonwealth Fusion does, but I know Matt will. So thank you, Matt.
Well,
Take it away.
Next slide. Thanks. Cool. Hi. Yeah, as Kathy said, I'm Matt Miller, and I will be speaking about the co-op programs and some of the benefits that employers and students can receive from them. I'm going to start with a small introduction about me and my current employer, CFS, which stands for Commonwealth Fusion Systems. And just like Chase said, all expressed opinions are of my own and do not represent Commonwealth Fusion Systems. So I am currently a mechanical engineering student at the University of Cincinnati, as Kathy said, and I've had the privilege of completing 3 co-ops so far, all of which have been incredible learning experiences. My first co-op was focused on design and manufacturing, where I got to work on various projects and gain physical experience and practical experience. My second co-op was more focused towards research and development with the same company, where I got to work on designing new systems and finding ways to test parts. For my third co-op, I changed up a little bit. I left Ohio, finally, and I joined CFS in Boston, where I joined the quality team. I worked on high-temperature superconductor measurement validation, cable magnet inspection, and tool calibration. Very big difference from my first 2 co-ops. And so I've since then returned to CFS after completing a semester of classes, and I will continue to work until August. I am full-time, I am not part-time because of the co-op program. The experience so far has been invaluable, and I feel that I have gained a lot of practical knowledge that I would not have been able to gain from classroom learning alone. Next slide, please. Now, a little bit about CFS. They were spun out of MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center in 2018, following the final run of the fusion device, Alcator CMOD. The goal of CFS is to commercialize fusion energy to help combat climate change and decrease the world's dependency on fossil fuels. Next slide, please. In 2021, CFS built the world's strongest large-bore, high-temperature superconductor magnet, which was designed and built in 3 years. The magnet achieves a magnetic field of 20 Tesla, almost 10 times stronger than the average MRI machine. This allows power plants to be constructed more than 40 times smaller, faster, and at a much lower cost than before. The high magnetic field allows for better containment of plasma inside of the fusion power plant and allows it to be built a lot smaller and a lot more cost effective. Next slide, please. CFS's flagship project, Spark, is currently under construction in Devon, Massachusetts. Spark is on track to be the first to achieve commercially relevant net energy, which is a significant milestone in the development of fusion power. By retiring technical and commercial risk for the first fusion power plant, Spark will pave the way for the commercialization of fusion energy, which has the potential to provide safe, clean, and virtually limitless energy for the world. Next slide, please. Following the completion of Spark and the achievement of net energy, ARC will follow. The goal of Spark is to provide a more cost-effective method to prove that the commercial power plant ARC will be capable of achieving the goal of fusion energy on the grid. Spark will also be used to validate engineering and fusion physics simulations to more efficiently design ARC. CFS has given me a passion for fusion energy, and it's taught me a lot of things I would never have learned in class. Next slide, please. Now, onto the part of what is actually this talk is about. Co-ops. Co-op programs have provided students with invaluable real-world experience while they're still in college. This was priceless to me, having the chance to learn about materials and machine design in one semester, and the very next semester, I was then able to directly apply the knowledge I gained, solidifying my skills and deepening my understanding. By working alongside professionals, co-op students can apply their knowledge and skills to real-world problems, gaining hands-on experience that can't be replicated in the classroom. Not only does co-oping provide students with practical experience, it also allows them to earn manual learning. And as they can work with different companies, they have the opportunity to test out potential employers for future employment. I was able to tell that my first co-op experience wasn't exactly what I wanted, and that let me change my career path accordingly. Next slide, please. Co-ops are not only for the students' benefit, they can also become valuable members of the team, taking on new responsibilities and duties that can directly contribute to the success of the team and the company. They can also help decrease the workload on the team members by picking up tasks from coworkers and supporting the team where needed. Co-op students can also act as great load balancing workers, being hired for semesters at a time to help with heavy workloads and simplifying processes. For example, a couple of the responsibilities and duties I have personally taken on have been communicating with vendors on manufacturing parts, checking part designs for manufacturability and validating tolerances, developing software for in-house systems, and tracking, and others. It definitely differs from co-op to co-op, but overall, giving students new projects and tasks that they've never done before will push them out of the comfort zone and help them grow into being better people and employees. Next slide, please. Co-op programs provide an invaluable opportunity for students to gain real-world experience beyond what they learn in the classroom. On co-op, I was challenged to apply my theoretical knowledge to real-world problems and find solutions. This experience helped me develop practical skills and gain a deeper understanding of engineering in my field. Working on challenging projects during my co-op allowed me to expand my skills and knowledge even further. I was able to work alongside professionals and contribute to projects that had a real impact. This not only helped me develop technical skills, but also soft skills, such as communication and teamwork, which we all know engineers are very in need of. Next slide, please. Co-op programs provide students with opportunities to gain hands-on experience in the field. However, with these opportunities also come challenges and obstacles that can be difficult to overcome. As a co-op student, I personally faced various challenges that pushed me outside of my comfort zone and forced me to develop my problem-solving skills. These challenges included a lack of industry knowledge and difficulty obtaining necessary information and data, which I had to reach out to others in my field for information and knowledge. Despite these obstacles, my co-op experience helped me build resilience and develop important problem-solving skills. By working with my team and seeking guidance from mentors, I was able to overcome these challenges and continue to grow as a student. Next slide, please. I must say, the most important thing for co-op students to do will be take advantage of the opportunities provided to learn new skills and gain real-world experience. Always remember to seek out feedback from your team and supervisor on ways to improve your skills and performance, and don't be shy about admitting you're wrong. This is the best time to make mistakes and learn from them. Always be proactive and ask questions to better understand your work and company, since you're not expected to understand everything on your first day. Besides, sometimes you may think it's a dumb question, but it's something that hasn't been asked before, and it's actually pretty important. And use your co-op experience to branch out and explore different paths. Since it's such a short amount of time, you can learn a lot about what you want or don't want to do. Next slide, please. Co-op programs are extremely valuable for new graduates looking for jobs out of college. They can provide practical skills and knowledge, giving students a foot up against other recent college graduates. The soft skills gained from co-ops will also continue to build and benefit students for the rest of their lives and are invaluable in any field. Students can also get jobs directly out of college from the co-op companies and enter the job with previous knowledge and hit the ground running. Overall, co-op programs offer tremendous benefits for both students and employers. For students, co-ops provide the opportunity to gain real-world experience, develop new skills, and test out potential career paths. It also allows them to earn money while learning and build a network of professional contacts. For employers, co-oping provides access to motivated and talented students who can bring fresh perspectives and ideas to the workplace. It also offers a cost-effective way to identify and train potential future employees. Whether you are a student considering a co-op opportunity or an employer looking to hire co-op students, I encourage you to take advantage of this valuable program that can help you achieve your goals and advance your career. That's all. Any questions?
I think there are questions, Matt. I will start because and I'm going to ask you one of the same questions that I asked Chase. When you come on, I think you're planning to stay with Commonwealth Fusions. That was something that you mentioned to me. So when you come on board there, would you be willing to hire and train an intern?
Definitely. I've joked about even hiring an intern right now, but I don't think they will let me, no matter how much I request it. But yeah, definitely something I will, of course, look for.
Claire has a question. Go, Claire.
I do. Thanks, Matt. And thanks, Chase, too, previously. But when you had your diagrams come up about the advances in using magnets with fusion technology, it just made me think like, well, I wonder how many engineering students are out there that are doing this work, and how empowered might you feel to go slightly outside of your specific engineering niche to apply for an internship in a field that's slightly different than your own, or if you're just in a general engineering course, but you're looking to get more specific, like, did you feel like you were, you felt like you wanted to apply to more specific things, or were you discouraged in any way, subconsciously from going out there and doing the more complicated internship? I'm just curious and impressed actually for you and Chase. So could equally apply to both of you.
Yeah, I think just I think a lot of mechanical engineering is the degree I'm getting, and it's just so broad that there's so many things you can use it for. And I mean, definitely there's a lot more of just electrical engineering and stuff like that in what CFS does, but just, I mean, I think if I understand your question correctly, I mean, it was just, I just branched out. I was like, this looks really interesting. This is on the cutting edge of technology. This is not really stuff they look at in college, but it looks really interesting. And I am very glad I applied and got the position. Thank you.
Awesome. Other questions? Anything else? Oh, Jackson. Okay, here comes the hardball, Matt. You know how he is.
There's no hardball question. I do want to ask though, when you were coming from Parker, how hard was it to get used to the pace of a startup? Because I'm just curious from what tips you might have getting used to the fast-paced environment.
I gotta say, the difference of Parker being around for over 100 years, going to a company that's around for around 5-ish years, is a very whiplash. You get a whiplash because a lot of times you may ask if there's like a procedure or a set of instructions on how to do something, and they go, "Nope, never done that before.
Yeah.
Got to find it. You got to create it yourself." While at Parker, there was basically a whole written out document that was 100 pages long, exactly how to do almost everything. So it is a lot of new stuff happening all the time, and you also get a lot of say and a lot of impact in developing the company as it will be for the next decades. Just being there in the beginning and helping make decisions, which is something I find really interesting and really cool. Just being able to put my own 2 cents in and see my impact on the progress in the direction CFS is going, and even within the internal processes that I have had my hand in, see how that's developed. But it
Awesome.
is a lot faster and stuff moves so quickly.
Okay, good. I have one more question. This is a personal. Where do you see fusion being by 2050? Do you see that being a big part of, I mean, I know we and I have talked about the promise of it, right? But where do you see that in our future?
I mean, I see it as a big part of the energy production by 2050 and helping the Earth move away from fossil fuels and become more climate change friendly.
Awesome.
Good. Hurry
Thanks.
up.
Trying.
Any more questions for Matt? This has been great. I am, first of all, I want to make sure all of you know, first of all, huge thank you to Erica, Chase, Matt. You guys did a fantastic job. That's the first thing. The second thing is, as students and co-ops and new young professionals, please don't forget to come back to AEE. Reach out to one of us to be a speaker here anytime that you have a topic that you want to talk about to our group. There's a couple different ways you can do that. You can always call me, you can call Rich. This is a friendly place. And as you get more experience at your public speaking, which you're going to need to do as part of your professional path, this is a safe place to come and do that. We have made many mistakes, all of us. And Rich and I do a lot of public speaking. And I think that certainly he has made every mistake there is, but maybe me too. And we know what it's like. We understand. We've been there. So it's a safe place to come and practice your professional presentation skills and your speaking skills and get better and better and better. So I would urge you to continue. I'm also going to be working closely with John to find better venues for our in-person meetings for next year. I want to do a lot more of them in the city or in venues that are accessible via public transportation. I know that, just the way we've done it in the past, where we always meet in Waltham, just really isn't working anymore. I don't think anybody enjoys them. They're not filling our needs. And the group as a whole, really, we are very excited about bringing in our younger members and doing things that are going to be much more fulfilling for you. So please feel free to text or call or email me or Rich or John Ma or Derek or anybody that you know on the board, or come to a board meeting and share your feelings and your thoughts about what can make this organization better, because we're all about that. I think that's it. Rich, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I'd like to just say one thing to the younger folks in the crowd here, the interns and recent graduates and stuff like that. Whether it's AEE or there's other organizations like Matt, obviously, and Jack getting more into the nuclear side, and other people getting into the transportation side or the sustainability side, whatever side or wherever you go into, believe it or not, there's probably some group sitting out there or association like the AEE. I mean, we're kind of a broad-based energy thing, but there'll be more specific organizations, and join them, go to the meetings, Go to the once a year big meeting in Chicago. Ask the boss for some money to go do it. Spend once a month or twice a month, one night, instead of being at home watching cartoons, go to these AEE meetings. Go to the ASHRAE meeting. Go to the nuclear meeting on fusion. Go to the meeting on sustainability. You like the MBTA, go to the Transit Authority meetings down in Washington once. Go do this stuff on your own. Because when you do it on your own and you do that extra few things, okay, it doesn't take much to get above everybody else. So when you're career working, do those extra things, spend some time. Most people just go home and that's it. You spend a little bit of time once or twice a month going to these meetings, meeting people, and over the next 30 years, you'll have 30 times 10, 300 meetings to meet bunches of people. And if you meet 2 people, that's 600 people that you've met in person that you had a chance to talk to, like-minded individuals where he or she will reach out to you later on, or you have the ability to reach out to them. So once we all get in our working patterns and our jobs and our homes and all the things we got to do, we tend to forget about it. But this is a great way, and AEE has worked out fantastic for me in my 40 years of being a member. Number one thing I ever did, by far, because no matter what, path in the forest I'd walk down in my professional career, it was all related to energy. I could talk to people, have access to people. And with you folks, just co-ops and interns and stuff, just getting out into the real world, you've got thousands of older people with gray hair like me that are willing to help, mentor, and point you in the right direction. So just a heads up to everybody, definitely join organizations, go to them and use it, because those who do, they're going to foam up to the top, and those are going to be your leaders. And that's, something very well to be said about that. And I know it from AEE. Kathy knows it. Some of the other folks on the phone call know it. And it's my two cents worth to the young folks here, the young energy professionals.
Good job, Rich. Thank you. Keep practicing those presentation skills. No. Okay, I think that's it. We're wrapping up. Thank you to our speakers once again. Have a great night.